So you want something affordable, efficient, and easy to park, but in a car that doesn't skimp on modern tech and amenities. We've got 3 great options that we're gonna cover, but which one's right for you? We've got some ideas, and we know these cars. Edmunds drives, tests, and rates hundreds of cars each year. As trusted experts, we've teamed up with CarMax to help you make the best car buying decision. Toyota. Now these folks have a reputation for reliability, and the Corolla fits the bill. We like to use RepairPal, an independent reliability tracker, and its data for things like repair costs, frequency, and severity. And the Corolla ranked really high, earning 4.5 stars out of 5. The Civic is close, but the Corolla is not only the best of the 3 cars we have here, but also #1 in a segment of 36 compact cars. If you don't want to deal with headaches and costs of car repair, this Toyota will be your best bet. Now, there's also a couple things to like about how the Corolla drives too. Mainly, efficiency. Toyota says that it gets around 33 miles per gallon combined, but in our Edmunds real-world test loop, we saw over 40 miles per gallon. And we're not the only ones. Owners have noticed it too. Another important consideration we noted during our testing is that the Corolla offers a couple of features that can really matter for a car like this. First, Toyota has been building a 52 mile per gallon hybrid model since 2020. And starting in 2023, you can get the hybrid with all-wheel drive. The Corolla is the only car of the 3 that offer all-wheel drive. And although Honda now builds the hybrid Civic, they didn't start until 2025. And those cars are thousands more on the used car market than similar Corollas. Buyers who want to spend as little as possible at the pump and want the added confidence of all-wheel drive will love this available feature. But everything has a flip side, and there are a couple of not so great things about the Corolla. When we were driving earlier, we couldn't help but be reminded of our testing notes that mentioned how loud it is in this interior when you're on the road. And the Corolla can feel really sluggish too. Oh, and none of our test drivers were able to get comfortable in these seats. That's a big deal, especially for an everyday commuter. So the Corolla, plenty to like here, but is it the best? We've got more cars to cover. When a lot of people hear Toyota Corolla, they think Honda Civic, but what about Nissan Sentra? We'll be honest here. On the whole, this Sentra doesn't rank as high as the other 2 when new, but there's still a lot to like here, and depending on your priorities, this could be the best car for you. First thing we noticed when we tested this thing, these seats are great. We tested Nissan's entire lineup, just like we have with Honda and Toyota, and comfortable seats are definitely one of the strong points for this company. They're well padded, there's good support, and we have plenty of space up front. According to RepairPal, the Sentra is also pretty reliable, getting 4 out of 5 stars. Plus, it gets good crash test ratings too. If we're splitting hairs, the Nissan's reliability and crash test ratings aren't quite as strong as either of its competitors here, but all 3 of them are really strong on those fronts. So that being said, if you drive a lot at night, make sure you get the premium package for its better headlights. Okay, but the big advantage of the Nissan in this company? Price. Looking at the same model years, buying a used Sentra will save you as much as a couple of grand compared to the Toyota and around $5,000 compared to a Honda Civic. That's a huge difference. And it also means that for the same money, you can get a nicer, newer Sentra for the same cost as one of the other 2. That price gap can't be ignored. But remember when I said this one wasn't our favorite? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. First off, the tech. Everything feels super old and dated. The touchscreen is laggy, and even when we test drove this generation's Sentra when it was new, the graphics felt like they were 5 years old. Plus, when we tested the Sentra for 2 weeks, the screen was glitchy and it crashed twice. Some owners experienced the same thing. The Sentra is also at a disadvantage when it comes to fuel economy. Now, just like the crash test and reliability ratings, all 3 cars are good here, and the Sentra still gets 33 miles per gallon. But the big difference is that you can't get a Sentra hybrid. With both the Civic and the Corolla, you can get a hybrid model with around 50 miles per gallon. Another potential Sentra loss? Cargo space. This trunk is actually pretty big, bigger than the one in the Corolla. But the big difference is that Toyota and Honda both offer hatchback versions of the Corolla and Civic, both with a lot more cargo space than our Sentra here. We've tested those cars, and the extra space really does come in handy, especially when you're moving single large items. So the Sentra is tempting, especially at that price point. But we haven't even talked about our favorite of the three yet. The Honda Civic is not just our favorite of the cars here. It also won an Edmunds Top Rated Award for Best of the Best in 2025, and seriously, this is a really good car. Honda's Compact gets a 4.5 out of 5 from RepairPal, ranking 3rd out of 36 compact cars in RepairPal's database. The Civic also gets a 5-star rating from NHTSA and a top safety pick from the IIHS, including the highest possible scores for its headlights and child seat anchors. This is about as good as it gets. One thing you'll notice as soon as you sit down, it just feels nicer in here than the other two. We've tested hundreds of cars, and rarely do compact sedans like this feel like high quality items. So all of the touch points in the Civic, from the steering wheel to the air vent controls to the real metal knobs for your climate control, feel a step above the competition. The Civic is also a really enjoyable car to drive. Now, no one's expecting a car like this to be as comfortable as a Rolls-Royce or as exciting as a Ferrari, but even drivers who don't care about how a car drives will be happy with how the Civic feels behind the wheel. You'll feel confident driving this car. Light steering at low speeds makes it feel effortless if you're parking or driving around town, but still feels stable at higher speeds. The suspension doesn't feel too soft in corners either, so the Civic never feels sloppy. The engine will feel more responsive when you step on it to merge or pass, and if you get one of the higher trims with the better engines, there's plenty of power without sacrificing fuel economy. It just feels easy to drive. The Civic is spacious too. Now, it's a little wider than the other cars, which you might not notice in a test drive, but that small difference translates to a bit more room inside, which makes a big difference in day-to-day ownership. Plus, you get an extra 2.5 inches of rear leg room compared to the other two. Also, if you look at that hatchback that I told you about, you'll get more cargo space. Now, as we mentioned, a used Civic is expensive in comparison. A few $1,000s more than a similar Corolla and around $5,000 more than a Sentra. $5,000. Plus, the front seats lack adjustable lumbar support, and the Civic's interior can be noisier than the others. But we have spent a ton of time in each one of these cars, and if we had to pick one overall, it's the Civic. So, do you want the techie Corolla with available all-wheel drive, the comfy and affordable Sentra, or the spacious and sweet driving Civic? Let us know which one you choose in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.